Can both walk off the stage and go, one is the loneliest number. You sing. Yeah, our transportation group is out there doing a bunch of utility work for that, some infrastructure work for out there. It is.
Huge.
Massive.
Huge.
Hi, Don. How are you? Nice to see you. But we didn't have any dust. No, we had a couple of challenges here and there, but yeah. Yeah, that's what I heard. We got lucky. We didn't get any water in our office. None? Nope. So we just must have been that half a foot higher, so that's all it took. But it sure can, yeah, absolutely.
We got the light on, so I don't know if we want to get going or. You ready? All right.
All right. Oh, really? It was wet. Excuse us.
All right. You ready, Todd?
I'm always ready.
All right. Hi again. Welcome. I missed last month, unfortunately. If you don't remember me, I'm Sean Bluebaum. I'm the project manager over there for our campus expansion project. You all know Todd, but
Hello.
I'll let you introduce yourself again
Yep,
if you
Todd
want.
Ganter, senior superintendent. So glad to be back again. So hopefully we got some more interesting information for you this month.
Yeah, we brought back Christian, our intern, so we're gonna let him answer some of the questions you had last month and do our safety share. So let's get this thing kicked off.
Basically, we get to use and abuse them for one more month, or
That's right.
one more meeting, right?
Well, yeah, just this meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw you already have a question in the back.
We do?
I was just wondering how well he took notes last time.
Well,
I think I took exceptional
we
notes.
will find out. He'll answer some questions. They may not be the right ones if he didn't take very good notes, but we'll see. So, yeah, Christian is, on a side note, our internship program is really, really a big deal to SOT for grooming the new entries into our industry. So Christian has got till the 13th, and then he goes back to NAU. So this will be his last time he's able to join us till hopefully next year. All right. So this is our monthly construction update for August. And Todd, I don't know if you want to start with just sort of an overview of where we're at, or we want to just get right into the safety share.
I think this picture pops up at a different point in time again.
It does, yeah.
Let's touch it up.
Okay. Well, with that, we're going to do a safety share first, project overview. We'll give an update for upcoming work and answer any questions and look at some photos of the job. That's the agenda for today. So, Christian, why don't you come up here and
Test.
do our safety share.
So this month's safety share, I thought it'd be cool to go around and ask some of the guys who are working out there every day why they work safe. One of the most important things to us is safety, because we all have families that we want to go home to. We all have people that care about us and love us. So the top left is Mason, and I asked him why he works safe, and he says he works safe so he can go do fun things on the weekends like off-roading, fishing, and camping with his friends. Bruno said that he likes to work safe so that he can be a good influence to his younger brothers who look up to him, which I thought was really sweet. I'm an older brother myself. And I said that I work safe because my mother works at a hospital and I don't want to visit her at work unless it's for lunch. And the questions that you guys had for me last time was, what is the size of the parking space in the garage, underground garage, which is 9 feet, sorry. And the golf cart size is 6 feet.
In width.
Wide, yeah.
Wide, yes. And the garage width at the villas is going to be 16 feet wide. And the golf charger is 120 volts, and the electric car charger is 220 volts.
How many amps?
That one I'm not aware of.
My Tesla at home is on a 100 amp circuit, but it draws 20%. Yeah, I was asking how many amps the Tesla chargers will be, because it makes a big difference on how fast you can turn over the slots. At home, I'm on a 100 amp circuit. The car automatically draws 20% less than the circuits it's on. It senses that. So I pick up about 50 plus miles of range in an hour. On the low end, I've seen some chargers that were, hooked up to 220, but much lower amperage, and they might pick up 19 miles per hour. So you can see you're tying up a slot much longer at the lower end. And of course, if you're less than 220, forget it, 3 days.
Yeah.
That is a good question. I can write that one down. Just going forward, if you guys have any questions, make sure they're all the hard ones, because I'm going to write them down and give them to Todd.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
and we can probably find out that answer for you before we're done with this presentation.
Yeah, I didn't bring my tablet with because I wasn't expecting that specific of a question.
Yeah.
But I did text our superintendent that's over mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, and I asked him to find out what the amperage is. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have an answer before.
It's actually a suggestion rather than a question.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we'll see if the suggestion can make it, if the suggestion aligns with what we're building.
Yeah.
So that's at least 2 Tesla people here.
Got it.
There's more.
Yes, sir.
How often, so these spaces won't be assigned, you'll sign up for a time, or?
So the question was, will these spaces be assigned? So there, as Todd said, there are 23 spaces down in the parking garage, and they won't be permanently assigned. Although some of them may be.
TBD.
TBD.
Just as an added point, today, when I came in, APS has a thing where they'll put in a bunch of chargers free to places that don't have any chargers. Like, for instance, Royal Oaks doesn't have any chargers now.
So that's very interesting. The comment was that APS will put in chargers for free to places that don't have chargers now. And wouldn't,
Once they build this, there'll be chargers, and they won't put them in free anymore.
so let me tell you that it's not free, because we've already been approved, and we're working with APS, and there is a charge, so it's not free. Nothing in life is free. And
You might look at the paperwork I left.
we've been through the whole APS thing. We've already been approved, and they're on their way in. There will be a few here probably within the next 6 months, if I had to guess. Darren, our facilities director, is working on that project, and I just don't know the timeline of it off the top of my head. But we have already identified a spot. APS has approved the spot, and there are chargers coming in through their program.
Well, that's great.
Yes. Thanks.
Awesome.
Clarify the 23.
23 parking spaces in the garage for electronic vehicular parking and charging.
Oh, okay, for charging.
Correct. Yes.
So there's already like 5 people in here that have electric cars, right?
Well, you don't know how many are coming in.
Sounds like you got to run a little underground gambling circuit to
Yes,
get in on
right.
this action. Like you should lead the charge on that.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions? Any other things Christian can run down for you in his last week?
How many places are there in the garage for parking all cars?
There's 140 parking spots and 44 golf cart spots,
Yeah.
41 golf cart spots.
Something like that. I was
Something
gonna
like
say
that, yeah.
41, I think.
All right.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you, Christian. Good job. This is a big deal because, and Christian hit the nail on the head. It's really important for our guys not just to think, oh, I got to work safe, but for them to know that our goal is that they all go home safe every day, right? And so when it's for a higher purpose, guys are more aware and gals are more aware and thinking about, okay, why do I want to make a good choice today, right? So, very good, Christian. All right, waterproofing. It's a big hot topic, big
Oh, yeah,
deal.
this
We have
is
an
super
underground
cool.
garage, so I'll let Todd talk about our waterproofing and our testing
So,
process.
yeah, in the past, there's been several questions about the waterproofing on the top and the sides of the walls of the garage. So the images we got here on the right-hand side is us doing our electric low-voltage testing for the horizontal surface. So what we do is we provide our 215 mils of thickness of our waterproofing, and then we take this, I took a picture of this because I thought it was absolutely awesome. It's just portable electric fence wire, right? So just stuff you'd have on a farm. Went ahead and we string it out in a grid pattern, large grid, like 50 by 50, tape it down in the corners, and then what we do what this gentleman's doing here, we just get the thing wet. Then another gentleman comes around with a low voltage testing. He's got a positive and a negative charge in there. He walks through that water area, and what happens is that low voltage signal he's putting into the water, if there's a penetration or a breach in the system, it will find it, like I said, it'll ground out on the concrete, and therefore he's got a little monitor that he wears around his neck at his chest, and he puts these probes down, and it tells him on an arrow where to look for the grounding out, if you will, of the charge. So we can find areas that big in 25,000 square feet of water testing. So far we've had, each area has had about 3 breaches. So we go through, we cut them out, we patch them back in, and they get inspected by the same group that's doing the water testing. They observe it and make sure everything's A-okay, and then we go ahead and put our protection board on top or our drainage mat, and then we do our concrete placement shortly thereafter. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting stuff because, I don't know, I've been with Sunt for 20 years and been in the business for 30, and I've never done this kind of stuff. So it's really cool. It's, I think somebody that created this was quite a out-of-the-box thinker. So they went ahead and used this electronic low-voltage testing. They test about 25,000 square feet in about 3 hours. So they fly. And when you find little stuff like this, it's really impressive, at least in my world, right? Because that's what could potentially be a leak. So, you know, I get to go to bed at night knowing that we've done belt and suspenders and we've covered ourselves, and everybody should be sleeping well, including me, because if it's a problem, then I get the phone call.
And all they had to do was stand in water and put electricity in it. So
Yeah.
perfect. Who knew?
Hey, I just wanted to bring up for those that are watching on closed circuit TV, on the bottom of every slide, Christian went ahead and put Gretchen's phone number if you'd like to text her with any questions that may pop up. So feel free. Thanks for volunteering again for that. All right.
All right.
Oh, LOL means usually lots of laughs, lots of love, right? Well, lots of lumber for us. So Gretchen came to me and said, hey, could you help us out with any kind of unique, weird pieces of wood that you may have laying around from any cut-off scraps or whatever? So I kind of took it as a personal mission to, as I'm walking, find some stuff, throw it in the back of my truck, and bring it over to the wood shop. And I think it's really great how, you know, a basic, simple 30-second conversation from Royal Oaks can channel through us to help those woodworkers that are, you know, in the room or on campus to go over and do their hobby. I love woodworking. It's one of my favorite passions. But it's great that you guys are making Christmas toys for the local community. So I'm glad we could help out, furnish some raw goods laying around. So
Good.
I think it's pretty cool.
For sure. We can get in the project overview. Any questions before we start going over current progress and what we're doing and where we're going with it? All right. So Christian did dig up some cool new stats for this month. So Christian, you want to let them know what you got there?
So to this date, we have used over 825 CMU bricks that have been placed, and those are at the elevator shafts at A1 and A2 at the villas, and the C building elevator shaft on the south side of the project. And if you were to take every one of those blocks and you were to lay them in a row by row, it would stretch over 2 miles long. And as you'll see further in the presentation, Mount Royal Oaks is going away, which is very awesome. And there have been over 400 truckloads of dirt taken from that pile and put back where it originally was, on top of the parking garage. And Sentry Cam at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. So some of you guys may have noticed we've got This one's a little more hidden, but there's a camera here. We have a camera on top of a trailer here, and then more visibly out here we've got this little white box with a pole there, and it's got 4 cameras on it, solar generated, connects to the satellite, and it goes through and it records video. So we have it set up for a certain time. Once we have departed from the site, our work operations are complete for the day, and then we have it run and record all night long until we start back up in the morning. And so we've enlisted a company called Centricam, and they monitor this. So I thought it was kind of interesting because I get, a bunch of spam emails about stuff, and I'm like, what's this? And I clicked on it, and I'm like, well, sure enough. So far, this was, I think, probably 2 days ago, we've had 1,399 alarms have gone off on these cameras. So I'm like, wow, God, that's pretty interesting. How do we relate this to what does it mean to everybody else, right? Well, we've interrupted somebody sleeping at a workstation 1,399 times because it's set an alarm off for them to look at the screen and go, what was it? Well, 173 total events, but 85 of them were light flickers. So lights flickered somewhere in the past and it set the camera off. So somebody had to look at it and go, oh, it's not anybody stealing anything. It's no big deal. We've had a couple of animal and bug incidents, and then 85 times weather has gone ahead and affected the security camera. So, holistically, we're looking at safety and security, 24/7, right? Whether we're on the job or whether we're off at home with our families. But we have a security monitoring company that we have employed. There's somebody actually up in Salt Lake City that monitors this stuff during off hours, and I happen to be number one they call.
What would show up down there if somebody actually penetrated the property?
They would.
Todd, can you repeat the question, please?
Oh yes.
What would show on that,
The question is what would show on there
on that report?
on that report if somebody had broke in? Well, Christian took the whole big long cells and lopped some of it off, and it would show an entry. It would show an entry, and what our procedure is they'd call me, wake me up in the middle of the night, and say, hey, somebody broke into the site. And they said, what do you want to do? I said, well, call the cops, right? Like let's hang this person because they're trying to take our stuff, and that's the procedure we'd go down the path of.
The good news is when this first came out, the security cameras for construction, the monitoring services weren't there yet. So Todd or I would get calls on all of those in the middle of the night to, hey, that's a tumbleweed or whatever it might be. So the advent of the monitoring service has been an outstanding
Allows us
addition.
to sleep a little easier at night.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Okay, we have the drone flight next. As you guys know, we do a monthly drone flight, so it should automatically start when I hit the button. So
We think.
we'll see what happens.
Okay, we'll see how well it gets. Oh, perfect. And you can pause at any point in time, right?
Yeah,
Is that a fallacy?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Okay.
There you
Oh,
go.
it does work here. Perfect. All right, cool. So I'll just give a quick rundown of what's going on. So this is building D from here to here, and we've broken it into the west, the east, and the north portion, just for simplicity, because the more basic we can be, the easier our jobs are. So this is the west. We will go ahead and place this concrete Friday morning at 1 a.m. So that'll be the next portion of wood framing that happens. So it's building D. We call it C West, but for those of you that are depositors or will be living there, that's building D right now.
Yeah, it's the 4-story. One thing to note that you can really see in this picture, and Todd will touch on it, is you can see we're starting to cover up the garage, right? And so that'll allow us to start construction that goes over the top of the garage, moving north. Ready?
Yep, perfect. Want to hit pause real quick?
Yep.
Building C is up here.
Up there, that one, right?
This is the stair, the elevator for it, or no, elevator and the stairs right behind it. So,
What is it that's yellow?
so that's
The question is, what's yellow?
Yep, the yellow product that's on the ground is a vapor barrier, so that helps with moisture migration, either this way or this way, right? Moisture migrates through concrete either direction. So we put that down. We level out the subgrade first. We put the vapor barrier down. It comes in rolls. There's a special tape we tape the seams with. We tape around any plumbing penetrations that come through it. And then we put our reinforcing product on top, and then we place concrete right on top of that. So, and then here comes coming out of the ground, we're up about 12 feet now. This is the elevator and the stair that also feed building D. So, it's going to give you great question. Give me a second to.
Seven.
The question
Right.
was, how many
I think it's seven.
elevators are there?
I'd have to triple check. It's either 7 or 8.
Yeah, I believe it's 7.
7. It is 7. Thank you.
Any other questions on this? One thing, so Todd talked about that waterproofing testing. So basically, everywhere that you see covered right here has been through that process. It's been tested. So with that electrostatic?
Low voltage electrical testing.
Yeah.
ELV, actually. All right, this is the east half of our building C, but it's also known as building E, Echo. This is the top of the garage. Part of the steps of the waterproofing, that's the bottom couple layers. And now we're getting into building A2, the villas. Since this drone flight was taken, the roof decking is complete. And we're starting to frame the back sides of the parapets and sheet those. This is building A1. You can see that we received roofing material yesterday. It hit town, and we're busy getting ready to fly that product up there today.
Are those going to be flat roofs?
Yes, sir. Yep. Tapered 1/4 inch per foot for slope. They go to a drain body there. It's not you won't see any ridges or peaks that way. The question was, is it a flat roof? It is a flat roof. Well, close enough to flat, yeah. Flat in our industry. Pause there, would you? So this is a great like 3-4 step process, right? So this is the raw concrete that had to cure for 28 calendar days. Then this is the first layer of waterproofing, the second layer of waterproofing. This line delineates what we've tested so far, and then this line is what we've tested, placed the concrete topping slab on, and filled with dirt. So right now we're almost up to here with dirt being filled in over the top of the garage. So things are moving along on that process and that front.
Todd,
Yes.
can you share with them what happened after all that rain a week ago or so?
Oh.
Weeks ago, what happened with all the dirt?
Perfect. Yeah, the question was, could I share what happened after the rain event last week? Yeah. My boots were really muddy. I cleaned them up last night because I knew I was going to present today. But no, we got impacted. We lost a day out there. It was, even though it rained on a Sunday, it was bad enough where the site conditions were muddy enough and we couldn't quite work. We did have a little bit of soil wash down the ramp into the parking garage, so we've been cleaning that out. And then we had some footings that we had excavated and some rainwater washed into those, so we've been feverishly trying to clean them out, and then all of a sudden it rained again this weekend and we're back to square one again. So but other than that, a good majority of the site was in really good shape. We had some areas that were some ponding, but that's to be expected. We don't have everything graded all the way to the drains, but we really only got impacted by about one day out there. It was just too muddy to do anything. We would have been rutting up the site, and it would have been, one step forward and 6 back. Then plus it would have, gives an opportunity for an injury, and that's kind of what we don't want to have.
Todd, we have a text question.
Oh, awesome! Yay!
What kind of drainage is planned for the property? We had some flooding on our existing campus last weekend, and how are you going to prevent this from happening in the future?
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna finish the site first. That'll help eliminate a lot of the flooding that's been going on. I'm also going to pray for not getting 4 inches of rain in 2 hours. But can you go back a couple of slides, and the big overview slide will give a really great vision of what's happening. So I think it was about 2 months ago, I gave a little topic and showed how we put in a big 8-foot diameter corrugated metal pipe storm drain.
You want one?
That'll work. Perfect. That corrugated storm drain holding tank, it's 205 feet long. It sits down in here. This would be the west end of the site. So it sits in here, and as far as all the overall drainage, there's a retention basin here that we started to cut. We're not tall enough, I can't reach it. There's a retention basin up in that neck of the woods. And then there is another retention that'll be in the center up in the screen. So there'll be retention spaces, but there's also 4 dry wells that are drilled to like a 38 or 40-foot depth. And so all the grading and drainage will get water off the surface, off of roofs, et cetera, to the storm drain pipes, to the dry wells, and then back down into the aquifer. So the design for this is it has to be feasible for a 100-year event. So that's what the design is. We're just not quite there to that level of fine grading of the site yet.
What's going to keep the rain from going into the garage?
The question is, what's going to keep the rain from going in the garage? Great question. So up and about this portion here, there's a grade break in the surface, right? So you kind of have to drive up a little bit and then drive down into the ramp. That'll keep surface water from running down the ramp. On the ramp itself, it's not covered, right? So any rainwater that hits that will go down, and there's a trench drain down at the bottom of the garage. There's also some area drains in the bottom of the garage that run to a storm collection system. That storm collection system runs from where this trench drain is here, runs all the way down to the garage and out, and I can't see close enough, but there's somewhere in this area, there's a manhole there, and it's 18-ish feet deep, and it picks up, it's basically a lift station that picks up any of the storm water that comes off that trench drain. Or if vehicles come in and they're wet and they're dripping, things of that sort. So, yes, ma'am.
When is the ramp going to be completed?
The question is, when is the ramp going to be completed? I really wanted it done about a month ago, but unfortunately, some of the weather's been kind of holding us up. So at this point in time, we're working on the extension of this footing right here. You can see the formwork we have in place, and then we've got to run the rest of this wall out. We've got about 2 weeks of that, probably the next 4 to 6 weeks. It isn't super critical for us to put the ramp in because basically the concrete's finished product, and I don't want to damage it. It's kind of like putting down really hard carpet, right? I don't want to stain it and screw it up. So it's going to be probably the next six weeks to maybe 2 months. So.
If the weatherman's right, he said the monsoon's over.
Yeah, if the weatherman's right, boy. I'm winning, if he's right, I'm winning the lottery. Yeah, that'd be great. I hope. No, we appreciate the rain. We've done some additional measures. We've gone ahead and regraded some of the roads and built us some kind of all-weather roads to get us out of the muddy situation. So in the event that the weatherman could potentially be wrong and something pops up in the afternoon, we're going to be ready for it.
I think also this site, as construction sites go, this site drains and mitigates water really well, right? That storm we had Sunday, if it was on another site, may have cost us 3 or 4 days by the time it dried out. This one takes it pretty well and dries out pretty well. Yeah, occasionally we get so much it floods a little bit, but for the most part, it drains well.
Awesome.
What else? Any other thoughts, questions? All right, we'll keep going. Oh, go ahead.
Flat roofs decades ago used to be a huge problem. And as far as, even without foliage on the roofs, this stuff, so I think these storms do damage to the roofs when the drains are clogged up. And also, when it's clogged up, what kind of materials have you used now that you didn't use decades ago so this stuff lasts? Or how many decades are these things going to last for, you got to have maintenance all the time on roofs.
Well, yeah.
Flat roofs for larger buildings especially. On homes, it was a problem decades ago, flat roofs.
Yeah.
So, just address the issue of what you're doing now compared to decades ago. Thank you.
I will say one difference that we have, and whether it's decade-driven or just commercial building-driven, is we have very large we want to do. And then, I don't know, you want to?
I'll address the age of time and what materials have done. So first off, the roofing system.
Mechanical devices to help you become less fatigued. What they found is there's a lot of accidents, incidents, things like that due to people being tired. Right? They get tired. If you do the same thing over and over, think about if you're lifting a piece of plywood over and over and over all day, you're more likely to hurt yourself at the end of the day than you are at the beginning of the day because of fatigue, right? So what the industry's doing is they're starting to create devices like this one that as soon as you get above 90 degrees with your arms, this thing gives you support. So that you can work over your head all day and not rely just on your own strength and stamina to do it. And there's all kinds of these things. Honestly, we're still trying to figure out how they apply exactly to what we do. They are definitely starting to show up in the manufacturing industry, assembly line. I did watch a video of somebody that his job was like to lift, been like a propane tank or something like that, just all day, every day, lifting onto a conveyor belt. So he was wearing something that basically helped him lift all day to prevent that fatigue and potential related injuries. So the construction industry is starting to get into that a little bit. And so we were checking out one of the newer products. That particular product right there, they're still pretty high priced. So you got to get obviously value out of it. But yeah, that's coming.
I think we should have captured this picture, because I would have said, "Suck it up, Buttercup."
Yeah.
That would have been my quote. I don't know. I'm more of the no pain, no gain kind of person. But I'm clearly getting pushed out of the industry.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. When we see these on everybody, he'll be retired, right? That's the
Thank goodness.
the idea. But yeah, it is.
I had a friend who used to say, if you don't have a hernia, you ain't carrying your share of the load.
Yeah.
Well, that takes it to a different extreme. I'm maybe not that much of an extremist, but
Todd, you really should share that with the folks on the television.
Yeah,
Totally.
on the call, if you didn't hear that, it says, if you don't have a hernia, you're not carrying your fair share of the load. That is not a statement endorsed by Sun Construction for the digital record, just so we all know.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Great stuff. This is fun.
But yeah, it is. It is, the technology is just amazing, and it's changing the way we do construction, and it's for the better, right? Because it's like we started with, so everybody can go home every day.
So now the picture to your left.
Yeah.
So that'd be Kirsten from the sales office, for anybody that has gone down to the Inspirata Point sales office. And we thought it was a great idea to put that in there. And then we also have Carrie in the middle. Both of those two Royal Oaks representatives come out on a weekly basis, right? So as we're progressing with construction right now just in the villas, but as we move forward into the additional buildings, bringing them out is just additional assurance that, depositors that have been making personalized custom changes to it, that the changes are being captured, right? It's an extra set of eyes for us to walk through and say, hey, did we get this for Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so? Yes, we did. We moved these outlets, et cetera. So they come out on a Friday and check things out and watch our progress, and just if we have any questions, we close the loop with them. All right.
There's your ramp.
Yeah. This is the footing that got full of water. Actually, we had water up to about here after that rain event Sunday a week and a half ago. So anyway, it hasn't changed a whole bunch. We're actually getting ready to pour this footing hopefully yet this week. And then we were just backfilling around the garage. This was a moment in time when we were taking the subgrade back up to normal. We've gone ahead right where that gray pickup on the right-hand side of the screen is sitting. Since then, we've gone ahead and over-excavated and recompacted the subgrade soils there. So part of the soils report says we have to go through and dig down an X number of feet for whatever size structure it is. We've done that on that building location. That's building F for fun. That's where the bar, everybody's favorite place is. And so that's just to give you an idea of what's going on at that location. That's building F. We went ahead and over-Xed and recompacted that.
Well, it's a great shot too to what Christian was talking about Mount Royal Oak going away. That's where it's going.
Yeah.
Right? It's filling up
the sides
of the garage.
Yep. It's not just the top. We had to backfill the sides.
Yep.
So, excellent. So, These are the guys that make the work happen, right? They don't get enough credit. We stand up here and give you all the presentation stuff, but these are the guys that happen to be our carpenters. They work for Sunt. They work for our concrete crews. So on the left-hand side, they're setting edge form for building D. And on the right side, it looks like they're part of a state highway job, just standing around looking at us. So anyway, no, they're near an instrument there that helps us check grade. So we've got a digital device that goes on a grade pole, and it helps us check the elevation of our edge forms to make sure that we're right at the 1,151.5 feet above sea level.
Yeah, that model we were talking about, in today's day and age, can put the information on a cloud, and it can go right to that device right there. So they don't have to go and enter it all in and be potential for manual errors. That thing has the actual grades in it already loaded.
Yep.
So, also a great shot because you can see all the post-tension cables and some of the stuff we talked about a couple months ago on that slab.
Yep. Perfect.
What's the thickness of that concrete slab?
It varies. If it's over the garage, it's 9 inches. If it's not over the garage, it is 11.
Can you repeat the question?
I failed. The question was how thick is the concrete? So the portions of the building that extend out over the parking garage structure or over the backfill zone, they are 9 inches in thickness, and the parts that aren't are 11 inches in thickness. Good question. All right. Here's some images looking back towards the villas. You can see that we've been feverishly working on, this is kind of like almost like a before and an after, sort of in backwards order. So there's all the soffits and the exterior profiles that kind of give the building some depth. That's what the image is, getting closed up on the left-hand side there. And on the right side is, that's actually the A2 building, about a week and a half, 2 weeks behind in time of the process, right? Not behind schedule, but behind in time. We had to start somewhere, so we started on A1 and then we moved over to A2. So in a couple of weeks, the picture on the right will look like the one on the left.
Did you say that those will be ready by February of next year?
The question
Correct.
was, will the villas be ready by February of next year? February 18th, as a matter of fact, yes. Yes. So I did the updated schedule, and everything's looking really good. So with that roofing product here, it's starting to cut loose a lot of opportunity to work with more goods that can get damaged to rain, insulation, drywall, things of that sort. So we're moving right along. Windows are in fabrication right now. So.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Todd. From a bigger picture, and you can maybe speak to this a little bit. Is, this looks like it sort of comes up out of the ground and maybe takes a while, right? Get the concrete and the framing and all that. But as soon as we can start getting the envelope on, where we're watertight, we can go like crazy on the inside, right? And
yeah, you walk through first floor of A1, all the low voltage wiring's in there, all the plumbing is strung out, maybe not terminated yet, but it's ran, so the plumbing as in the domestic water is in there. All the HVAC ductwork is in there and done. All the electrical and can lights are all in and completed. So we're in really good shape. So I think
Is the overall project ahead, on, or behind schedule, or don't you really know?
So the question was, is the overall project ahead, behind, or don't I know? I am not going to choose the last answer. I know very well where everything's at. I spend, part of my job as the superintendent, because I got a couple guys that are really doing all the brain work out in the field, right? I get to sit in the meetings and manage the schedule. So I update the schedule. I spend about 20 hours a week managing the schedule of all the activities, so all the materials that are coming in, and when we're scheduling crews and things of that sort. So long answer, but the answer is yes, yes, and yes for all 3 phases. Right? We're on time for everything.
I will say this, I'm sure there are contractors out there that have more of the attitude of it'll be done when I'm done. That is not Sunt. We go way the other side with the schedule, as Todd said, to where at any given day we know exactly where we're at.
Yes?
You might want to comment on, we need to order 156 refrigerators, 156 stoves, 156 microwaves, and I can't even get a new refrigerator at home. So what's the process for doing that?
Great. The comment, or the question was, is could we comment on how we go about procuring 156 refrigerators or stoves or what have you when part of the general public is also having supply chain shortages? So, are you going to start off with the appliance deal because it's closer and near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, I can do that. Basically, one of the things we do is we have an increased buying power because of how much we buy, right? So we can get in line a little bit easier than the general public for some of that stuff. Another thing on this job, we're contracted directly with GE. We don't go through a middleman. So I personally have had multiple conversations with the regional manager of GE here that make sure that our stuff will be here on time. The other thing is making sure that in some cases we have to put a deposit down. In some cases, a sizable one up front. The market's pretty volatile right now. Some places are asking for 30 or 50% down before they'll even give us the product data on what we're ordering. So that's a big part of it too. And mostly just communicating with where the product is coming from to make sure we get it. Now we did get notice. I get a weekly newsletter that comes from the AGC, which is the Associated General Contractors of America, and they sort of look at big picture issues. So you all have heard about lumber, right? That's been a big hot topic on the news. Lumber has stabilized to a great deal. Basically, over the past 10 weeks, it started to stabilize to where we can now get lumber. And so we are starting to, there was a period there where we were just ordering just what we needed to keep our schedule going. And now we're able to get that. Now the big concern is steel. So we've been having some conversations because there's places where steel is taking 11 or 12 months, and that affects steel products like appliances, anything made with steel, right? We have, for the most part, locked in all of our ordering for all that stuff. As Todd said, the windows are being fabricated. The steel, we're already in line. We have been for 2 months. So we're in pretty good shape as opposed to maybe some of the things you hear from a general public standpoint.
COVID's moved from the forest into the steel mills.
Yeah. The steel mills in the southeast specifically.
Oh, only in the southeast.
So
Got it.
we are fortunate to be in Arizona. That's helped a little bit with the steel. But you mentioned the big project up by the 303. So one of the concerns with steel that's pretty interesting is the steel suppliers are allotted certain amounts of steel from the mills. So it's not like one supplier can just buy all the steel and sit on it. Steel is regulated, so nobody can sort of hoard in a situation like this as well. So that helps. Anything else?
Forgive my cynicism. I'm sorry. I'm just frustrated with this.
Is there any fire retardants involved? I saw a fireman being asked on TV why, when they get to the site, the house is already burnt down.
That's a great question.
He said basically, new houses are made out of wood chips, great fuel, and great accelerant.
Correct. So the question is what kind of fireproofing systems do we have in these buildings? Because typically wood frame structures, i.e. residential single-family homes, just go up like a box of matches, right? Well, you're correct. So a lot of those homes have finger-jointed lumber, right? So they're 2-foot-long pieces of lumber that they finger-joint together to make an 8-foot stud. These are solid 8-foot studs. So there's a little bit difference in the material that helps us with the rigidity factor and the fire retardant of wood. It has some fire retardant value, right? It doesn't instantly burn up like a can of gas does. The other fire retardant systems that we have, and the buildings are fully sprinkled, right? So just like you see up here, there's fire sprinklers. There's fire sprinklers down the corridors, back patios, bedrooms, bathrooms, closets, everywhere. There's fire sprinklers in there. They are rated partitions. We call them party walls. They're between one resident and the other. Those are rated partitions so that fire can't travel horizontally. In most residential construction, other than the garage, which is 5/8 sheetrock, most of the rest of a residential structure is 1/2-inch sheetrock. We use all 5/8. So It's, granted, it's only an 1/8 inch more, but it has a greater fire resistance rating than just 1/2 inch does. There's also rated floor lines, so that way fire can't travel from one to the other. And one of the things that we're going to be doing here in the near future, once we get a roof on, and all the sheetrock hung on the walls, is we'll be doing a product called Gypcrete. So it's like a flowable, looks like a big thick milkshake that we mix in a hopper, pump it into a hose, and it just kind of floods across the deck. So it's basically liquid gypsum, and that is the fire retardant, part of the fire retardant assembly for the deck. It's an 1.5 inch or 2 inch thickness on the floor. So there's that fire retardant value there. So,
Todd?
yes.
Why don't you also add, please, and talk about the fire department's involvement in the construction project from design to now,
Oh,
through the project?
Yeah, so Sun City Fire Department and Health, that you guys have seen their vehicles around here. So we deal a lot with fire marshal. His name's Jim Fox. He's out here usually once a week, just kind of strolling around, seeing what's happening. He's really interested in making sure that he checks all of our fire hydrants and all of our fire risers and our standpipes and all the fire water suppression system that comes from the mains into the buildings. He also goes through and he verifies and inspects the overhead fire sprinkler system, and then he'll take a look at the fire rating assemblies. So Sun City Fire got brought on way early on in the design phase. They've gone through the permitting process with Royal Oaks. We actually have a physical permit from them to call in for inspections, and and Jim is just a really good guy. He'll just stop on out and say, "Hey, you got anything for me to look at?" Or and then we also take it one step further. He asks us, and we like Jim and his guys quite a bit because they're just really good people. They bring either the A, B, or C shift out every so often and take a look at what's going on the job site. So even in a raw framed construction system like this, it's a really good visualization for the fire department to come out and see, because otherwise you see a finished space like we're in right now. This is all the raw goods, all the structure behind the scenes. So they come out and take a look at it, ask questions, and just kind of get a general concept of what these structures look like prior to all this sheetrock going on when everything gets kind of closed up. So we have a real close partnership with Sun City Fire Department.
Are you projecting the North Road for October?
The question is, are we projecting the North Road for October? That was the one thing I didn't quite look at in the schedule yet. I don't have a solid answer for you, a definite confirmation, but I know that we're wanting to get the south cul-de-sac sanitary sewer in. That's going to happen in the next couple weeks. So the reason why I talk about the south cul-de-sac versus the North Road is I'd like to go through and start working in both cul-de-sacs and get really off of the existing campus right now and just kind of into our side. So I think the cul-de-sac work, we're going to have a scheduling meeting in September to discuss subcontractors' availabilities and what we can do to get out of everybody's way to get into there. We may not go through and completely pave the North Road in October, but my push is to try and get the cul-de-sacs buttoned up there. So
We also, it's an interesting question because with paving, right? Paving is great because that means we're almost done usually with an area. But if you pave too early, then that paving can get damaged. It's pretty susceptible to heat. It's pretty susceptible to stains, things of that nature. So cracks. So we want to pave sort of as late as possible while still being early enough, if that makes sense.
Yep. Trying to find that sweet spot when we're not having to run a bunch of additional construction equipment out on site that could cause the damage.
Yeah, like anything, we don't want to turn over something to you that's brand new that we've driven dozers over for 6 months, right? It's no longer brand new. So.
All right, so here's a view from building A1 looking to the south. You can see that we've started to bring the dirt over the top of the garage. This sort of looks like a mess, but it's actually elevator and trash chute for building B, which is part of the upcoming work. We're starting to bring the masonry out of the ground for that. But you can see we're coming across with all the backfill, and the overX for the building pad has been completed here. So just a view of where building B is going to go.
And the top of a garage.
Yeah, and the top of a villa garage, yep.
All right, got a couple minutes here. So Todd, if you want, talk
Great slide
about
for upcoming work.
Upcoming,
okay,
yeah.
so Real quick, upcoming work, we'll have concrete placement the end of the week here. The beginning of next week, we're going to cover the rest of the garage. On the 16th, we will pour this slab on grade. And then, as I promised last week, we started getting some of these structures out of the ground. They're not as high as I wanted them to be, but upcoming work is we'll start getting back on those masonry shafts and bringing them up. So this would be for building E for Echo and building D. We're also going to start coming out of the ground with building B, stair shaft or elevator shaft there. And other upcoming work, by next month you'll see some white on these roofs, or on that roof. We'll start loading insulation and roofing product on top of that building, and then we're starting to drill. We've got 30-foot deep caissons that go across the back of building B and C. So the drill rig showed up yesterday, so we'll be drilling those caissons, and caissons are basically like a cylindrical foundation. I think we're probably 24 inches in diameter. We have a rebar cage that we drop down in, and we fill them with concrete, and that helps tie the slab on grade structure to the earth and helps distribute the vertical load from the structure, disseminate out into the ground. Let's see what else we got. We got some utility work. Right now, currently, we are coming across the job site in this manner. We came all the way up to here as of yesterday. We will continue around the job site in between A1 and A2, and then around this direction with the APS primary service conduits. So that work is happening along with any kind of natural gas lines that we've got. There's a couple of gas lines that feeds building F. So we're doing the underground utilities on that. We will go ahead, and upcoming work is buttoning up the storm drain piping along the back side of the villas. So between the villas and Royal Oak Road, we will complete that work. And then we'll get onto the sewer line, which is along the south side of buildings D and E, kind of where that gray truck is in the corner right behind Sean. So the sanitary sewer line goes down through there. And let's see, that pretty much sums up what's going to be visible from an aerial drone footage for the next month.
Yeah, I was going to say, and then these have touch on topping slabs, right? So you'll see other concrete placements other than these slabs on grade as we continue to work this way, because that waterproofing is covered with a 2-inch topping.
Yep, correct. We'll also start seeing some scaffolding around the villas. We held off for a little while. There's no point in putting the scaffolding up if we aren't going to get on it right away. So we will be installing scaffolding in the next 30 days around A1, so that you'll be able to see that. Interior work is just going to be all the overhead mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire sprinkler, low voltage, water lines, things of that sort in both the villas, as well as some underground stuff in buildings B and C will be happening in the next month. So,
Todd, how many people do you have working on the job site?
great question. I think we were at, including some of us management folks, we were at 117 yesterday, and we had a little influx of some people. We had a couple more truck drivers out there today, and we got the drill rig showed up, so we're probably in the 125-ish range. By about this time next month, I'm going to throw a dart at a guesstimate of 152. So that's my over-under, 152. So, yes, sir.
I'm curious about your handling of the vaccine, as far as employees getting vaccinated, wearing masks, or how do you do that in your business?
Okay, great question. The question was, how do we handle situations of the vaccine, wearing a mask, and general COVID stuff for our business?
So basically, we follow the CDC recommendations for the most part, in that one is recommending that our employees get vaccinated. Now that's SUNT employees. Obviously, we have a lot of other companies out there on the project site, which I'll touch on in a second. We aren't requiring it at this time. It's just a recommendation, and here's an easy link as to where to go and that sort of thing. I can tell you that our project team is vaccinated. The entire project team is. So we're in good shape there. As far as the masks, we are recommending masks if you are not vaccinated, and social distancing and all the things that were in place prior. If you are vaccinated, right now they are just sort of repeating what's coming out from the CDC. That's what Sunt's recommending as a corporation. If we get back to a state where we go back to masks on job sites, then it just becomes a job site rule, basically. But we're not at that point right now. Does that answer your question? All right. You asked about the dates. Those are still the same dates for turnover. February 18th for the villas, November 18th for what we call B and D, but the
B, C, and F?
Yeah. And then the 4-story building is March of 2023. And you'll see when those turn over, there'll be elements of the site that go with each, right? I mean, we don't turn over a villa building and you have dirt all around you, right? When we turn over a building, it'll have to have fire lane access, it'll have to have landscape, it'll have to have, a functioning building and site. I think that is it, unless there's other questions. Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious as to how you drain the water out of the garage.
Okay. And Todd, you want to hit that one?
Sure. You want to back up
Yeah,
just
let
a
me-
quick second?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to give you a quick aerial where things are at, you won't be able to see it, but there is a drain system that runs the whole length of the garage all the way to this area. And it picks up some area drains inside the garage. So it goes to that, and it goes to a catch basin, which is basically a shaft structure, and then it pumps it out from there. So we don't have, the pump isn't up and running right now. We just have a temporary pump in there to pump water out, since we don't have power in that location yet. But that all the water is designed to be collected at a catch basin and lifted out of there. Then it goes through the storm drain system. So it'll come from a depth of surface grade, like approximately minus 16 feet here. It'll come up to surface grade minus like 3 feet, and then it runs over to the retention tank in the west side of the property.
This is probably premature, but at what point do you expect to start building the dining facilities over there?
The question is about when do we start expecting to start the dining facilities? So dining facilities, building F, sits out over this region here. We're tracking to start foundations there in probably the next 2 months right now when it starts. So we're behind the scenes with procuring all the metal studs. Our joists, our steel bar joists coming out of Mexico are in fabrication. They start fabrication next month. They'll be here in the beginning of October. So I'd rather just have stuff here sitting waiting for us. I had a superintendent that taught me one time that I'd rather be looking at it than looking for it. So we're going to find as much real estate once all that Mount Royal Oak dirt pile's going away. We're going to use that for staging all kinds of material. We just want to have it here so it's possession's 9/10 of the law.
Well, Todd, that's
How far behind the completion of those buildings will the dining room be available?
Great question. How far behind with the completion of the buildings? So these buildings will turn over in February of next year. The dining building will turn over November of next year. So 11 minus 2, 9 months, 8.5, 9 months, something like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Anybody tired, bored of hearing us? Oh, you guys are still laughing,
All right.
so you're not sleeping. That's good.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, not good at all. Not good at all. How are you doing? I'm good.